that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this Commonwealth. So help me God. All right.
Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear is now officially in his second term. That was him being sworn in at midnight in a private ceremony. The public inauguration festivities kick off in just a few hours in Frankfort.
That is where we have sent Jim Stratman and photojournalist Nelson Reyes for us this morning, the state capitol, Frankfort. Jim, walking us through the plans for this morning, really.
Yeah, that's right, Grace. Everything's set up and seemingly ready to go for the inauguration ceremony, the celebration that's going to take place throughout the day here in Frankfort. You can see behind me some of the risers already set up, tents as well, even lights from a little Christmas tree to add some holiday spirit to what is going to be a historic day, the 62nd inauguration ceremony here in the Commonwealth of Kentucky as Governor Andy Beshear begins his second term in the state's highest office. It makes him the second Beshear to have a second term as governor. The governor defeating his Republican challenger Daniel Cameron during the general election earlier last month. In his first 4 years, the governor oversaw recovery here in the state from historic tornadoes out in the west, historic flooding in the east, and a worldwide pandemic that affected all of us. And all the while, he continued to push economic development as a cornerstone of that first term. So today, here's what we're looking at for the festivities. The festivities will kick off 8:30 this morning with the breakfast reception at the governor's mansion. A worship service will also follow that in the following hour around 9:30 in the morning. And then at 11, Governor Beshear, his family, Lieutenant Governor Jacqueline Coleman, they are all going to get into horse-drawn carriages and go down the inaugural parade route, which will go through downtown Frankfort and end right back here at the Capitol. The public swearing-in ceremony will take place at 2, followed by a grand march at 6, and the day will round out with the inauguration ball at 7 o'clock tonight. It is a full day of events, as I just said, here in Frankfort, in the capital city, for the 62nd inauguration, and we will be here throughout the day giving you team coverage of the inauguration. Eric, Grace.
Jim, thank you so much. You can follow along with that team coverage on air and online. We'll be posting updates to WHAS11news.com and inside the news app.
Jury selection will continue today in the trial against triple murder suspect Bryce Rhodes. He's accused of killing 14-year-old Larry Ordway and 16-year-old Maurice Gordon after investigators say the teens saw him kill 40-year-old Christopher Jones back in 2016. Rhodes has a history of outbursts in court and was told that would not be tolerated during this trial. On Friday, Judge Julie Kalin said if Rhodes causes a disturbance, he can sit outside the courtroom or wear shackles that deputies can use to shock him. Opening statements could begin as early as this afternoon.
There is a new member on the Jefferson County School Board. Last night, the board appointed Gail Strange to represent District 1.
All in favor, say aye, or indicate raising your hands. Ayes have it. We would like to welcome Ms. Gail Strange as the new District 1 representative on the Jefferson County Board of Education.
The district Strange now represents includes much of West Louisville, downtown, and Butchertown. She replaces former chairwoman Diane Porter, who stepped down in October to focus on her health. Strange has a history in corporate communications and says one of her main goals is closing the achievement gap for students of color. She was sworn in immediately after last night's meeting.
5 minutes after 6 now, and a Kentucky judge has struck down a law setting up funding for charter schools in the Commonwealth. Franklin County Circuit Judge Philip Shepard ruled the 2022 law violated Kentucky's Constitution. Charter schools would have been publicly funded, but could have fewer regulations since they're operated by independent groups. Governor Beshear vetoed the bill during the 2022 session, but the legislature overrode his decision.
Right now, there appears to be division among Kentucky Republicans on a bill to temporarily remove guns from citizens in mental health crisis. It comes ahead of a committee hearing this Friday at the Capitol, which families impacted by mass shootings are expected to attend. WHAS 11 senior reporter Isaiah Kim Martinez and senior photojournalist Alyssa Newton talked to one lawmaker who believes the bill won't work.
The CAR Act is seen by some as a common ground among Republicans and Democrats to do something to prevent mass shootings and suicides. But already, days before the bill is supposed to be introduced, there's already reservations from some lawmakers.
CAR stands for Crisis Aversion and Rights Retention. The bill, championed by a Republican and getting bipartisan support, would allow law enforcement to temporarily remove guns from people deemed a threat to themselves or others. But it wouldn't happen without a court order and the person themselves getting a chance to make their case for keeping the weapon.
Whether you call it a red flag or an ERPO, at a bare minimum, it has the potential to violate at least 3 constitutional rights.
Infringing upon the right to bear arms and due process are the concerns for Republican State Representative Savannah Maddox, a staunch conservative and former candidate for governor who's at times distanced herself from others in the GOP.
In addition to the potential to violate due process, I think that we're also talking about a rebuttal of the presumption of innocence, which is something that is well enshrined in our American legal system.
Maddox believes Carr would compromise those values, which she says is a non-starter. Now, as to whether her views will be echoed by other lawmakers in the committee hearing is to be seen Friday. Isaiah Kim Martinez, WHAS11 on your side.
We're told several versions of the Carr bill will be discussed Friday. Republican state lawmakers from Louisville are also set to introduce the Safer Kentucky Act, which is a proposal of policies to tackle violence, especially in the metro.